Just watch it. It's an odd clip, but it's very relevant in this case because that's how the case has been going on for years. Just watch.
My name is Fiso Meiwa, brother of the late Senzo Meiwa. I just want our nation to know that these people who are investigating my brother's case, one of them called me on the 29th of March. She is Kenel Motsohi. She said she want to have a meeting with me because there's an investigation against me with allegations of corruption. So now I'm waiting for them to come and charge me. Yes, they are trying to threaten me.
Yep, there is Fisome. You were back in time when the police tried to threaten him because they were not happy to hear him speaking about the case. But he never stopped. Instead, he continued to expose them. Till today, we now know that the state has cooked this case. But things happen very slowly in this court. Ratam Mahwatleng. The court now is on recess until the 13th of April 2026. So the case is going to take years because of all the delays that are caused by the state. The state is causing the delay because they are asking one dance the same question over 10 times. I don't know how many times they've asked him, Uguti, do you have an O-shaped beard? But Ntanzi still maintains that wayengenayo. But let's say he had it. How many people in this country to have the same O-shaped beard? You cannot convict someone because of that. Now, this week he mainly focused on the evidence of the people that were outside the house as well as those eyewitnesses that were in the house. But strange enough, he doesn't say what the people that were in the house failed to identify during the parade. How is that possible? And then he tells us that Tabang Makeleni was sitting outside, was able to identify Ntanzi from top to bottom. I still remember that Makeleni, he said even his height and his complexion and his other facial features. But the people in the house failed to identify Ntanzi. How is that possible? Clearly, that is some issues that comes back to corruption. I still maintain that the statement of Tabang Makeleni, it was fabricated because Tabang Makeleni now is no more. Tabang Makeleni is not here to come to court and tell us ukuthi wambona kanjani uNtanzi in such detail, and we are expected to believe whatever that garbage that Baloyi tells us. So I suspect that the statement of Tabang Makeleni was fabricated because they somehow knew that he was going to be eliminated. As we know now that Tabang Makeleni was shown after, I think it was about few months before the start of the trial, because he also died after Prakatian Love. Tabang Makeleni died of poisoning, and till today there's been no finality in his case. So I suspect that somehow, somewhere in the state is actually involved in his death because his case has not been solved. But the state is happy to bring a statement in court and use it as an exhibit. They know that it is going to be accepted by a court because a statement by a dead person is accepted as long as they produce a death certificate, which is unfortunate because now we cannot prove Ugututa Makere was lying. If he was alive, it was going to be easy because the state and the defense were going to pose some questions to him. And I'm sure Abumnis, and Abumshololo were going to be very extremely thorough in their cross examination. But now they can't do that because he's dead. A dead man cannot speak. So now the court will have to rely on that evidence, which now is going to help to convict Mohandans. So Mohandans is going to be convicted based on hearsay evidence, because Pela, that's what it is. It is hearsay evidence because it's something that was said by Tama Keleni, but he's not here to come and confirm that, my lord, indeed, I was sitting outside the house and I saw Bwandanzi running out of the house, and then I saw Kalamube as well following him. It's sad, really sad. And then he focused on evidence ukuthi okay, uZandi Khumalo I did one dance in court, but a dog identification is not reliable because remember uZandi had seen Untanzi on TV so many times before she came to court, so it was easy for Uzandi Khumalo to point out Bwandanzi. So that's, I don't think the court should really take it seriously, because no ways they can take that seriously because they had seen Tanzi on TV. So now they already knew the state case with okay, who accused number 2 is the one that entered the house with accused number 3. So Uzandi had plenty of time to cook her evidence before coming to court. The same as for Tumelo Madlala and Mthosi Twala. So I do not really take dog identification seriously, and the judge would do the same, because identification to take place before the case commences. But in this case, it did not happen. So now it is convenient that they are able to see Ntanzi when he's in court. Really unfair. The main issue is that Baloyi failed to put Ntanzi at the crime scene scientifically. There are no fingerprints of Ntanzi there that shows that yes, indeed, Ntanzi was in that Khumalo household. Nothing whatsoever. Then we know that the DNA expert came to court and said, my lord, all 5 suspects are excluded from the sample taken from the house, meaning that Abondanzi, Musibia, Gadla Mncube, Mapisa, and Tuli were not at the crime scene because the DNA did not match. Even the hat that was found at the crime scene belonged to a woman, and we all know that the accused before court are men. They are not women. So there is no scientific evidence that put them at the crime scene. And you must also remember that even the bullet jacket that was found at the crime scene on the Monday after Senzo had died, which was a day later, it was only found on the Monday, not on Sunday. So if indeed that bullet jacket was there on a Sunday, I'm sure that Umosia and these other rogue police officers were going to find that bullet, because now on the following Monday they found the bullet behind the glass jar, which means it was just in the open. So if it was there on Sunday, they would have found it. So that bullet jacket was planted in the crime scene in order to implicate any other person other than those that were in the house. So clearly, the police fabricated the ballistic evidence that we've got in court. And Mangayana came to court and said the bullet matches the gun with the gun that belonged to Ukadla Mncube. But the same witnesses that were in the house said the gun that shot Senzo had a will, meaning that it was a revolver. So Mangana tested the wrong gun when he tested that 9mm Beretta and said it matches. Abo Tumelo and Abo Longotwala, even though he has not testified, they all said the gun had a will, which means it was a revolver, a 38 special or a 22, not a 9mm. So we've got a wrong gun in court. It's not the same gun that killed Senzo. Even Ulo Upikatia Kininda initially said the gun that shot Senzo was a 38 special. In the statement that was read during their first appearance in court, it was stated that the gun that shot Senzo Minyo was a 38 special. It's now a 9mm. So that creates more reasonable doubt in this case for a judge to acquit. If we're the fair judge, the accused were going to be acquitted based on this contradiction by the state witnesses, because people in the house are state witnesses, and Mangena is also a state witness. This is a state witness. But now they are saying 2 things that are totally different. It cannot be that the gun was a 38 special and someone else says it's a 9mm. Those 2 versions are mutually destructive for the state. So the judge has to dismiss all the gun evidence. And remember also that Mangena, when he went to collect the gun in Cleveland police station, he said he found the gun on an open bag, meaning that the barrel of the gun could have been changed in order to implicate Ukadla Mncube. The police already had the gun Mncube in their possession, and they already knew about him because he was accused of shooting that taxi boss Uraji Motlala in Cleveland. So they already knew about Gala and so on. So it was easy for them to link the gun to him because Mangena found the gun in Cleveland on an open bag. An exhibit is not supposed to be laying on the floor on an open bag. An exhibit must be secured and put in a safe place. So that gun evidence, Kakadam Ngwe, is compromised because the gun was found on an open bag. And that's what I'm happy about Mangena. He was honest about that, Uti. He found the gun in an open bag. And remember also, Uti, the guys that arrested Kadam Ngube in February 2015, it was Masondo and Dlamini. They said when they tested Ispamsuka Kadam Ngube, they said it did not match with the projectile that shot Sezumi. So now, how come that years later, after Abu Kininda have been part of the case, suddenly the gun matches with that bullet jacket that was found in the crime scene? Clearly, it is fabrication, total fabrication. I'm happy that Umasondo, the guy that arrested Gala, came to court and testified and said, "My lord, no, that gun, Kakadam Ngube, we tested and it did not match to the bullet jacket that was found in the crime scene. It only matched after Sufyan Ramaphosa are corrupt allegedly. Those that investigated the case of Senzomeyiwa. After Sukufika, police commissioner Ukehla Sithole, those police officers are Obu Brigadier Kininda, Umomo Khola, and the rest that came to court. Remember that even that confession that was allegedly given by Boantans, it is also under dispute because Ntanzi maintains that he was tortured. Dan says he was tortured. So everything about this case is in question. Nothing is really conclusive. Therefore, a judge cannot find these guys guilty. And I'm sure that when the case resumes on the 13th of April 2026, Baloy will still be asking the same questions over and over because his strategy is to drag this case for years and years. And I'm sure now, Uti, once he does that, he's going to make sure that he makes Ntanzi tired and try to make him concede to every nonsense that he says, that he puts to him. But up to the stage, I'm happy with Boandanzi because he has been resolute and maintained the same story over and over again. And he tells him, Baloy, no, it is not so. I did not phone with a cell phone number because I was in prison. That is very important. And so when he's done, I'm praying that Ntanzi is able to call some of those people that were allegedly phoned by that number that allegedly belonged to him, Abolebo, his friends, his family. They need to come to court and tell the court that yes, my lord, I received a phone call from the cell phone number, but it was not Ntanzi that spoke to me. And if they come and say that, then they would give Boandanzi a backup to show that he did not have a cell phone when he was in prison. Because now, if that is left unchallenged, then Baloy will rely on the fact that Ntanzi is lying. And this case, remember, there's not much evidence. So now it's all going to be about credibility. Who's likely telling the truth, and then the judge will use that to come up to the judgment. So Ntanzi needs to challenge that. In a cell phone, the only way to challenge it is to bring witnesses that can say, my lord, there was not Ntanzi that phoned me, it was someone else. And in most likelihood, it is Mabena, because Ntanzi says Mabena is the one that had his cell phone. Even when he appeared in court, he is the one that allowed him to make a call to Abolebo and other people that were able to bring him clothes and some other stuff and in Tsipo and so on. So Ntanzi needs to call those people that were called by that number. And most importantly, Ntanzi, he needs to call someone that is going to confirm his alibi. That is very crucial because now, if that is left unchallenged, the court would accept that Ntanzi was in actually in Gauteng, but we know that he was in Nongoma because he told the court what he had some ceremonies that he was preparing for in Nongoma. So you'll need someone that will come and tell the court that, my lord, yes, Ntanzi was in Nongoma. I saw him under the tree. I saw him in the river or whatever. But he needs someone that will come and tell the court, because if that is left unchallenged, hey, Obaloi will be smiling. So I'm sure his relatives, or because he's saying he was preparing to pay lobola, I'm sure umkhongo khona lapho lo usakhumbula ukuthi okay, on this day untanzwela kaNongoma. So he needs those people to come and call the court and confirm to the courts. So or his uncles, his cousins, whoever, as long as they say Tanzi was in Nongoma, I saw him kaNongoma, I saw him in Mfuleni or wherever, that will boost his case. So he cannot leave it unchallenged, because this past judge will be happy when he's writing judgment. He'll say the evidence Kabale was not challenged, which he was in Gauteng or wherever. He needs to come and debunk that evidence, because it is crucial. He cannot just debunk it himself and say, no, I was not in Gauteng. He needs someone else other than him to come and confirm that. If that happens, I'm sure that will create more reasonable doubt in this case. Remember that an accused has no responsibility to prove who is innocent, but it just to create that small reasonable doubt to go to the story that I'm telling is possible true. Then if there's that doubt, then the judge has to acquit. And up to so far, reasonable doubt has been created because, firstly, the gun evidence, there's some uncertainty which gun shot Senzo, because state witnesses, Mangena and Abolongo and others, are saying something totally different. Some are saying the gun had a wheel, some are saying it's a 9mm. So that on its own creates reasonable doubt. So Ntanzi needs to create more reasonable doubt by bringing Fagaz about he was in Nongoma. That is very easy because I'm sure his family members saw him there. So they must come to court and tell the court what Ntanzi was in Nongoma. That is very important, because Malo is relying on all these fabricated telephone records, and Ntanzi cannot dispute them because they were provided by Abo Vodacom as well as others. But we know that things such as the telephone records and bank records can be fabricated, because you just type in and so on. It's very simple. So I do not believe any of those telephone records, which they are reliable when it comes to Ntanzi, because that can be fabricated. It's not like a DNA, where DNA cannot be cooked, because it is done by a doctor, someone that has credibility. That is why the DNA result came in favor of the accused, because it was not done by the police and these companies that you cannot trust, Double Vodacom and so on. But the DNA you cannot cook. That is why today we know that these guys were not there, because the DNA expert came to court and said these guys were not there because the sample taken from the house does not match any of the 5 accused. So that on its own created more reasonable doubt for the judge to find these guys not guilty. But we shall see what is going on, because now the case has been postponed to the 13th of April 2026. It's because Ubalo is asking the same questions over and over. I think this case should have been over about a year ago, but Balo decided to bring in more witnesses that were more wasteful to the court. They're just giving the same evidence over and over. So now we're up to this point, and Tanz has been on the stand for about a month now. He's answering the same questions. So I'm hoping that once we resume after recess, the case can move forward, because we need to come to an end so that we can move over to the real case, which is Docket 5. That is a case that was investigated by Uwan Officer Makubo and Ujoyce Buchelis. That is where they're saying Abasendli lied under oath because their statements were fabricated. They did not tell the truth, what happened to Senzo Menu. And Baloyi does acknowledge that because he's got those statements. So now I would like you to watch the
photo that you say was taken in July 2013.
Wantanzi uthi lesi isona esisondelene kakhulu no-2014 ngoba sathathwa ngoJuly 2013.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you will agree, Mr. Ntanzi, that between 2013 and 2014, there is a long time lapse.
Kodwa uzovumelana nami Wantanzi ukuthi emkhathini phakathi kuka-2013 no-2014 kunesikhathi eside esedlulayo.
To be precise, it will be a year and 3 months to 26 October 2014.
Uma singabala ncamashi uba unyaka wonke kanye ney'nyanga ezintathu ngaphezulu.
Ngiyathanda phambi kwekhote logama malivezwa nguye umshushise emethi phambi kwekhote isikhathi lesi lesithombe nesikhathi lesi sika 2014 isikhathi esinonyaka nenyanga ezintathu.
I like it like that when you are the one who actually tells the court the time lapse between 2013 and 2014. That it's a period of a year and 3 months.
Because enkantolo kuthathiwe isithombe sa 2018 2019 ukuthi misho iminyaka emingaki le iminyaka u4 or u5 mangaphosisi mangothi encounter kanti wasiletha phambi kwecourt azothi icourt nabe nginetshebe angabe uthathe sona lesi sithombe zokhombisa icourt ukuthi nasi isithombe sikaTata esondelene ngqo no 2014.
My lord, a photo taken in 2018 2019 was taken and brought to the court to prove that I had a beard at that stage. Instead of taking this photo and bringing it to court, saying before the court, here is Ntanzi's photo.
Manje lelo gama liyangimangaza maselivela nomshushisi sayitshena mina phambi kwecourt ethi lesi sithombe ngesa 2013 sisinonyaka ne3 months. Kukhona izithombe ezineminyaka u4 u5 ayiveze phambi kwecourt.
Now I'm becoming amazed. I'm getting surprised. If you then say before this court, this picture had a period of about a year and 3 months lapse in between, and although or even though there are photos that you produced before this court which were had a period of about 4 or 5 years lapse that you produced before this court.
Ngoba mina ithombe zami lapha phambi kwecourt sa 2018 2019 2020
because those
police officer, remember I'm a member of SAPS. I know the ins and outs of SAPS. I know what they are allowed to do and what they are not allowed to do. And that they did to me. They did to me one of their own. So I'm telling people every day. I say Ntanzi, Sibia, whoever didn't have a chance against Gininda and his team. If they could do that to me, they didn't have a chance. If they told them, you did it and you will sign this confession, they did it. If they say they were tortured, I believe they were tortured. I believe they were tortured to sign those confessions, because if they could, they would also have tortured me. But they didn't have that opportunity to torture me. You understand? So,
yeah,
those people who are talking and say these people made voluntary confession, there's no such. There's no such. The police don't have rules. They don't have. That's why Gininda is sitting in court today. Never ever have been follow official rules. Now he must account, and then you will say no, but it's not supposed to be like that. Warning statement is a warning statement. When you interview someone, whether that person is arrested or not, that you have to fill in the warning statement. I heard him talking about the show. I called another general who was also part of the top management. I said, you know what, General? I remember one time you told me about this unlawful shorter version that they made for themselves at a police station because of some lazy detectives, because they don't want to complete the entire form. Now they take certain pages and they make it, they make copies of it and they interview you with those ones. Those ones are not official. They are not official. The official one is the one that